The coronavirus pandemic has strained health systems around the world, and now it's caused the uninterrupted growth of the world's second-largest economy to falter for the first time in decades. For the first quarter of 2020, China's GDP contracted by 6.8%.
The current external situation is more complex. Domestic demand remains comparatively weak. Companies still face difficulties, such as insufficient demand and a drop in orders.
Preventative measures saw China's economic activity slow to a trickle for nearly 2 months. Local infections have eased, and some businesses and factories have resumed operations, but many companies are on the brink of collapse.
This situation is dire, awful, disastrous for me. I've got no idea how I can get through this year.
China's National Statistics Bureau says the economy will bounce back in the second quarter and long-term growth won't be affected. But with global demand plummeting, its economy faces an uphill battle.
The pandemic has been spread globally, which lead to a lot of countries, including the US and European countries, into recession. So that will lead to a decrease in demand of China's products.
China's central bank has cut interest rates and provided tax breaks and subsidies to businesses in need. But analysts say it won't be enough to stabilize employment. Finding work will be more difficult for graduates and migrant workers especially. And while economic growth has plummeted, China's COVID-19 death toll has been revised upwards. After a formal review, officials in the original epicenter of Wuhan increased the number by 1,290, saying previous records were incomplete.
China's coronavirus count has been adjusted several times in recent months. This latest change is further fueling suspicion over the accuracy of government figures. Many critics believe that the official tally of about 82,000 falls well short of the real numbers on the ground. Katrina Yu, Al Jazeera, Beijing.
More now on the increase in the Wuhan death toll. Annie Sparrow is a professor of population health science and policy at the Aachen School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. She says the WHO has no independent way of verifying the numbers.
Even though it appears like a revision on the surface, and it's a small revision, as we've heard, compared with what we think the numbers really are. Once we saw the trajectories in Italy, for example, and the death rate that accompanied there, it became apparent, increasingly apparent how suspect China's numbers were. Now, the recent revision has been done without any independent scrutiny, so WHO has no way to actually verify any of this. It has no independent access. These are only official figures, and no non-official figures are allowed. So it's a self-correction, not an actual change in methodology. As we know, China originally, if you died without a test, well, then you weren't counted as a COVID death. Now, China is not alone in adopting that kind of methodology, but given that it was the first country, then we are particularly worried about that, because it was this type of cover-up that enabled the virus to spread and to spread and become the pandemic that we have today.